I'm driving this buggy here with pretty bad intentions now. Are you camera shy? That anytime I struggle with something, anytime I have a problem learning, or I don't know something, or I know I don't know what I don't know, I go off and I figure out how. So here's the ones I were running. These are the Losi LST. I'm going to go ahead and officially say they do not work. What I think it is, now here's what's ironic. The ones I'm going to put in here, these are the LST ones. What's the difference? Probably about a millimeter of length. I think that additional length in the bell made it incredibly hard to open up because it was the tightest fit I've ever put inside of a clutch ever. So I think it just heated stuff up and everything went downhill from there. So I'm going to kind of make my own little clutch here. I'm probably going to go 2 nylon, one aluminum, or so I don't know. I'm just going to make a hodgepodge of shit. I had some real funny stuff going with my clutch the last time I drove it. So I'm going to take the engine off right now, check the clutch, probably put on a new one. I'm going to time myself to see how long it takes me. I'm going to try to do all this within 2 minutes. Right here, that's how I get down. There's a few more houses. He's looking for his tree. He kind of knows. He's like, okay, hang on, slow down. Okay. He's like, he knows that it's coming. The other thing I did here is I switched out to a quad design brake system, and that is, normally I would run 2 fiberglass here, but instead I switched out to stainless steel. My personal opinion, it's here nor there. I definitely prefer fiberglass over it. Go in the middle of the street, no you don't. You see? Huh? What's up? So many permutations, and it takes a lot of work to go through them. As an example, here's what I'm learning right now. Well, I know what I know, it's just I don't know why it is. I can change the torque attribute, forward bite, the rear wheels, by changing the center diff. I mean, drastically change it. I gotta know why that is. Less maintenance, all that, less clinkety clank. However, I do want to try it though, because there has to be some form of advantage for them to create a brake system like this. Maybe it's setting the brake bias, you get a little more fine-tuned, I don't know. But for now what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this, but I'm going to run this with this differential in it. I just rebuilt this one now. It's got 7K inside of it. The rear has 3K inside of it. No, the rear has 5K inside of it, but I'm going to switch out to one that has 3K inside of it. It's a lot of stuff, man. Winston definitely approves of this right here. So at this point, I'm ready to go full throttle. Clutch, not so much the clutch, but I'm losing my gear mesh. And I've deduced it that it has something to do, you can see right here, I'm actually losing my shim. This ring right here, don't worry about that, that's been there before. But so yeah, losing the shim, I didn't have that much at all, of course. It's causing me to lose my mesh. Losing the shim, it's probably the, it's not the bearings, probably the washers, the shims inside of it. Something's not right. Or it's the cap head screw. I don't know, I gotta get it figured out, but damn sure no I will. So I'll probably go forward with the existing clutch I have on there. New clutch will probably just trying out a different style of shim, because I've never had that issue before. Run it, take it out for pretty hard run, get it on a bass tune, quote unquote. Take it home, go over the gearing, specifically the rear gear mesh and the rear differential. Same thing. Starting to, I think the ring gear, I think, is a little bit damaged, a little bit uneven. So I'm gonna rebuild one here. I'm gonna build one from scratch, and then so these will give me two different rear diffs, and then I have an entire kit here with the bulkhead and everything. So I'll be able to figure out what it is. But again, I'm pretty sure it's either the pinion or the ring gear in the rear. But it's not bad if you listen. And it's not, I've heard much worse. Then I want to redo my linkage, specifically the throttle servo. I don't know if I'm going to go with plastic or aluminum. There's pros and cons to each one. And then finally, the center diff. I'm going to try a Spider. You can see right here, I have one that's stock, has never been run. I'm going to put it in. I'm not sure if I'll drive it or not, but I'll put it in and just kind of see how it, what sort of torque attributes it has in the spur gear side and the cup side, and then go from there. I'll probably end up rebuilding it, putting some pretty heavy diff wheel in it. So all that in the next 2 days. Then what's going to happen is I'm going to race tune it. I'm going to put a Buku clutch on it, race tune it, and then I'm going to jump it over the wall in the back. A lot of stuff going on. I got to go to bed. Here's the clutch I'm currently using right now. Like I said, it's a Losi LST clutch. And it's worked pretty good. I've also used it. Let me show you quickly here. Which one? Here on the Savage. So yeah, I can validate they work. It's got to be a little cautious with your shimming. So you can see here, I went with the aluminum, and I'll talk about the pros and cons of this particular throttle link setup. I've had a lot of experience with link setups. Not bragging. In fact, it's kind of the opposite. I'm almost contrite about it, simply because that just means I've messed up a lot, right? So you learn by experience, and throughout the years, 2 things I've learned. Number one, you will not get a good race tune unless your linkage is spot on. Anybody, you can just put it on, it'll work, it'll stop and go forward, whatever. But that's just phase one, right? That's where I'm at here. Second thing I've learned is you're never going to get it right just putting it on. You got to test it out first. And so seeing as I'm going to drive it here in the neighborhood, last thing I want is a runaway or anything like that. Knock on wood. So we'll give it a quick test. Alright, so give it a little run. Everything was fine as far as like the throttle and the carburetor returning correctly, returning quickly, smooth, all that. The only thing I need to do is now just set the brake bias on it. What is brake bias? Well, it's pretty simple. Alright, so 2 things. First, I started a blog, and I think blogs are gayer than shit. Somewhere, however, I think on my Google profile, you can probably find the link to the blog and understand the intent behind it. But I do want to go on record as saying, well, you'll see. Just read my thoughts on blogs. Second of all, I have a new series starting. Come here, Winston. I have a new series starting called Winston Living Large. As an example, Winston is a bit of a cheese connoisseur. And right now, we're going to see his thoughts on white Vermont cheddar. What do you think, bud? Is that good? I'm assuming it's good. See, this is how a dog lives large right here.
and live in love.